What's up guys, Nolan here with a Broken Arrow quick tip. If you find it useful, make sure to check out my TAAG system series of videos to improve your gameplay on every single level. One of the most important aspects of the TAAG system is your priorities as well as using efficient units. Artillery and planes are some of the most efficient units in the game, but at any moment, your bad decision making, luck, bugs, or RNG can turn them into the least efficient. It comes down to what you use and what you target with them. And that is the major topic for today, as we have SAMs, SHORAD, supply. Those are the only things you should be worried about when playing. There's lots of things that do lots of things in Broken Arrow, but when you spend the time like I have to peer through the fog of war, the only thing that matters are SAMs, SHORAD, and supply when you are looking to hit something with your artillery. SAMs destroy planes and tend to cost a lot of points, while also inherently being a constant priority for every player that knows what they're doing. AKA, if you kill a SAM system, it is almost a certainty that that player will buy another one to replace it or have another one around. Same thing for SHORAD, and if you do a good enough job, it will leave gaps for planes and helicopters to sweep up what they find on the front line. When you break this down into its purest forms, this game is just rock, paper, scissors. Things that fly are, generally speaking, the paper to the things on the ground's rock. Meanwhile, SAMs and SHORAD are the scissors. Now, something to add into this equation, though, is if those units on the front line can't resupply, then they're just paperweights taken away from the player's economy, aka their ability to buy more units while also costing them time and resources to fix up. So at certain points, it's actually better to leave some expensive units alive but crippled so that they wouldn't win the next fight that they get into. Then if they try to resupply, figure out where to stop it. And that is easy to do with planes and artillery. Specifically, again though, artillery. MLRS artillery is expensive and slow to aim as well as reload. The most efficient way to use these are to call them out, use them, then refund them. Conventional artillery, however, is cheap to shoot and much more accurate. It also has perfect, in most cases, track records against the things that you in particular are prioritizing, which again are SAMs, SHORAD, and supply. The units in particular are the Malka, the Koalicja. Realistically, anything that can reach over 3K for Russia, but generally speaking, you got the Malka, you got the Koalicja, then you got the Striker SPH, and at the top of the food chain, you have the Iron Thunder for the United States. Again, if you get a mortar system, if you get something else close enough to be able to kill SAMs, SHORAD, or supply, it counts. But if you are playing as armored or mechanized for Russia, or armored and Striker for the US, have two of the units that I mentioned in those decks, then use them to prioritize SAMs, SHORAD, and supply. Shoot small salvos and then keep them moving after the enemy figures out what you're doing. They're gonna try their best to counter you. If you're doing a good job moving, the only thing that they will be able to do is find it through sneaky recon, heli rushing it, because it will be somewhat close to the front line, or bomb it. Artillery used to counter artillery is very inefficient as it is slow. Unless you have direct eyes on the artillery not moving, don't bother. Because while you're trying to do that, chances are you're also within range of a SAM, a SHORAD, or a supply that isn't moving. So that is the efficiency at work. If you really need a piece of artillery dead, look for the area it's hiding, because the supply is probably in that area. And then once they move to it, try and hit them. Obviously, we got some best case scenarios here. If you can get a drone up above them, that would be ideal. You get some sneaky recon past there, or you try to heli rush, or even you put a plane to just YOLO go and bomb it. That would be ideal. But generally speaking, there's other ways to stay out of the way of enemy artillery. It's one of the concepts that I bring up in my mechanized warfare gameplay video, rather masterclass video. During your game, and if you're lucky, while you have a friend that you're playing alongside who has brought artillery, just pay attention to the horizon and surrounding area whenever a friendly plane goes by. Chances are you'll easily see where the enemy has their SAMs and SHORAD. If you see the smoke coming from the ground, mark it, that is your target. Same goes for artillery as well, in case you didn't know. If at any point you can't see where the enemy SAMs or SHORAD is, then just give them something to shoot at. Send a plane, ideally a seed plane, to the front line with the intention of just seeing where they're hiding. Just be sure not to feed it, ideally. You just want to shoot a seed missile at them or get them to shoot at you. Once you see the smoke, hit them. Throughout the game, you or your teammates will be making pushes or putting helicopters up. Every minute or so, you should absolutely do what you can to see what you can see within range of your artillery or to spot for others. And again, you are looking for SAMs, SHORAD, and supply. At this point, some of you are thinking, okay, just move the SAM after you shoot. SAMs are, generally speaking, slow and expensive. However, same can be said for SHORAD and supply. In order to do their job most effectively, they will need to stop moving. And to just move them after they shoot, that is obviously a useful tactic and something that you will have to play around with. However, every thought, mouse click, and keystroke spent on microing their SAMs, SHORAD, and supply is one less for their units on the front line. If you stay consistent, which is much easier to do with a couple of artillery units that you can queue the movement up for, eventually there will be a time when they forget to move, forget to unload the supply, or forget to turn their radar back on, or maybe put them in a bad spot without realizing it. All you need to do is look for the smoke, queue up a short salvo, queue up a move. Good to go. SAMs, SHORAD, supply. Hit the SAMs. If you don't see any, hit SHORAD. If you don't see any, hit supply. That is the best way to use artillery in Broken Arrow. Start using this in your game and thank me later. If you find it useful, click all the buttons on the screen to support what I do, or come by a stream to see this stuff in live action. You can also check out my TAAG system series of videos to improve your gameplay on every level. Otherwise, you can check out my gameplay across the channel in general. If you think I missed something, make sure to let me know below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. See you guys.